Hi there, welcome to Jujubee DIY. I'm Sarah. Thanks so much for joining me today. Today I am bringing you some spooky cute DIYs. This will be the last Halloween DIY video of the year, so I hope you enjoy. But for now, let's get started on our crafts. For this first DIY, I am taking this basswood or basswood that I had on hand in my stash, and I measured out about 4.5 inches, marked it with a pencil, and now I'm going to cut those apart using a box knife and this metal ruler from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to run my knife across the wood a few times, and then it's going to easily break. This really isn't any thicker than, say, a craft stick, so it's really easy to cut. But I'm going to cut those all apart, and now I'm going to use the end of an arrow. I had used this arrow for 4th of July, and I had this piece still sitting here, and I thought that it worked perfectly as a template for the cutout of my banner. So I'm just going to mark that with a pencil, and then again, using my box knife, I'm just going to run it across the lines that I want to cut a few times, and really that's all there is to it. And then I'll do that to each of the banners, and I'm going to make 5 of these, and that's just because that's the length of wood that I had, so that's what I ended up with. Now, using a glue stick, I am going to add some paper to the top. This is just a buffalo check paper. I wanted all of my projects today to have kind of a farmhouse cutesy feel, so I thought that the buffalo check would be perfect for this project. So then I'm going to let that dry, and then I will go in with a piece of sandpaper and sand all the edges off to make them clean. Now I'm going to use this crocodile that I have in my stash. This is an older crocodile, so if you go to the store and look for one, you probably aren't going to find it looking exactly like this, but after all these years, it still works perfectly. And I'm doing the 3/16 size hole, and I went in about a quarter inch down for my holes, and I'm just going to use that crocodile to basically cut the holes in my banner, and then I'll just use this banner as a template for the rest of them. Now, I got these candy corn wood shapes from 24-Hour Crafts. I know you guys have heard me talk about 24-Hour Crafts in the past. I really like 24-Hour Crafts as a place to get wood items, so I grabbed a few of these, and I'm just going to mark off the areas where I want to paint them, and then I'm going to paint them in the classic candy corn colors. Now I'm going to use some of these beads as well that I picked up off of Amazon, and I am going to use the twine and the needle, and then the black, white, and buffalo check beads that came in that package. So I'm going to string on a banner piece, and then a white bead, a buffalo check bead, and a black bead, and then I'm going to continue this pattern all the way until everything is strung on. And then I go back in and I add beads to each end as well, because I wanted it to kind of look finished off. So you'll see that here in just a second. Once everything's strung, then I'm going to go in and add my candy corn pieces on the front, kind of offsetting them a little bit, but I just glue those on with hot glue. And then I'm going to take my Posca paint pen in black, and I'm going to add those dots and dashes along the candy corn pieces. And I'll do that to each of them. Now I'm going to add some ribbon. I just thought it needed a little bit something extra, so I had this orange ribbon and this kind of yellow ribbon that has, I don't know, it's got like a hexagon pattern, so probably like more for a bee theme, but I thought it looked really cute with this banner as well. So that's the 2 ribbons that I'm using, and I'm just doing a lark's knot on these, and I'll just kind of alternate the colors. So I do orange, yellow, and I'm just placing them in between the beads and the banners. And that's all there is to this DIY. I love how this turned out. And if you can't get your hands on that wood, just use some foam core board, and that'll work perfectly as an alternative. For a second DIY, I'm going to use 2 of these witch hats, And you're just going to see me do one of these. I'm going to add some glue, and then you can see that spider web paper. I have it in gray and orange, so I'm going to do one hat in gray and one hat in orange. And I'll just glue those on and then trim off all the extra paper using my box knife and a sanding block. Now I wanted to make a couple of little brooms, so I'm using some skewers. These are just bamboo skewers that you can get from the Dollar Tree or anywhere. And then I'm going to use one of these little scented brooms from the Dollar Tree. My dollar store has had them in eucalyptus and pumpkin and cinnamon smells. So I thought, why not use these kind of real looking brooms to make little mini brooms? So I'm going to cut off some of that. I don't know what this is. It's some sort of like vine, I think, maybe. I don't know. But I'm going to cut some of it off, and then I'm going to glue it to the end of my skewer. And then using a little bit of jute twine, I'm going to wrap it around just to secure it. And I will make 2 of these. And then I go in with a little bit of a baby wipe and some Waverly Antique Wax and just darken up our stems or our broom handles a little bit. For the base of our project, I am using one of these hexagon wood shelf setters from the Dollar Tree. I just gave it a couple of coats of the Waverly chalk paint in the color ink. And now I'm going in with a chippy brush and the mineral color from Waverly and distressing this up. And you can distress this as much or as little as you like. I kind of went in a little heavier because I really thought that looked good. So now I'm just kind of figuring out where I want to add my brooms, and I am just going to add a little glue to a couple of places there just to secure them down, and I'm doing it kind of at an angle so that those brooms really show. Then adding in some tumbling tower blocks that I painted black. I'm going to add those next to the broom. That's just going to elevate our little witch's hats a little bit and make them sit nicely against our brooms, and I'm just angling those a little bit as well. Now I wanted to add some decoration to the front of our hats. I have this lace that I've picked up from Walmart. I think it's usually around $1 or so. Comes in a little plastic egg type thing in the craft section, and I'm going to take that antiquing wax on that baby wipe and just antique up my lace a little bit. Now I'm adding a little bit of hot glue, and I'm doing a bit of a pleat, I guess you would call it, with the glue. So adding a little glue, folding it back over on itself, and that just kind of pleats it and makes it look really super cute. I love how this part turned out. You're just going to keep going until you get the whole entire hat finished. And I'm going to do the same technique on the black hat, but instead of white lace, I'm going to use some of this black spiderweb lace from the Dollar Tree. I just cut off a thin strip and pleated it as well. Now I wanted to add a little something else to the other hat, so I used some gingham ribbon that I folded in half and hot glued, and that just kind of gave another element to our little hat. So I will just hot glue that kind of to the top of our lace there, and that kind of is mostly because the lace wasn't super finished, and this just finishes it off a little bit nicer. So, oh, and then I decided for the orange hat to add a little gingham bow. This is just the Dollar Tree gingham ribbon that I cut in half and made a little bow with, and I just hot glued that right to the front. Now I have some of the HTVRONT vinyl that they sent me a couple weeks ago, and I cut it out, and I added this little Salem flying school to the center, and that's all there is to this little project. I love how this turned out. I think this is such an adorable shelf setter, and I love that little Salem flying school. For our third DIY, I'm using some of these foam block dice from the Dollar Tree. I just am skewering them with a bamboo skewer so that I could paint them very easily. And then I'm going to give them 2 coats of the Waverly chalk paint in ink. Next, I cut down some scrapbook paper. I used some of this buffalo check and some orange polka dot. And I'm just going to alternate the colors on the blocks. Now I'm using some of the word letters from the Dollar Tree. I pulled out the word boo, painted them with a white Waverly chalk paint, and now I'm going to go in with black and a stiff dry brush and just kind of dry brush the edges just to give it a little more definition and texture. Now I'm going to use some of these birdies that I picked up over the summer. I knew I wanted to use these for ghosts, so I picked them up, but I really need to paint that red part white. So I'm going to give those a couple of coats of the white paint, and that will just cover up that red nicely. Now, taking some white fabric that I had on hand, I'm just going to cut down a little bit. I wasn't too particular about the size. I just wanted to make sure that it covered the birdie very well. And now I'm going to go in and cut a piece of this spooky cloth from the Dollar Tree to go over the top. And then I'll use a little bit of jute twine to create the kind of head, and I'll tie it with a little bow tie. Now I'm going to make some eyes for our ghosts, and basically I'm just kind of pulling the spooky cloth aside so that my fabric paint can go right onto the white fabric, but you could also use felt here if you wanted to. So now I need to make a hole in the bottom that's kind of plastic under there. So I'm just using my glue gun to create a hole, and that's gonna give me a nice place to hot glue my skewer stick to. And I'm just using the bamboo skewer sticks that you can get for barbecuing, and I painted them black. And I'll just hot glue those right in. I think I said that already. And then using the sharp point of the skewer, I am going to skewer my dice with my ghosts. And then I'll hot glue the word boo on, and that completes this project. I added a little bow to the center ghost, and I love how these turned out. They're so spooky cute. This next DIY is a really fun and cool one that you could do with kids, and we're gonna make our own crystal balls. So I'm going to start off with some metallic paint in a couple of different colors. I'm just adding a couple of tablespoons here. It's not super important measurement wise how much you use. So just add some to your cup and then add a little bit of water, mix it together. And this is just to make sure that the paint is fluid and not clumped or gloopy. Next, we're going to get out one of these Dollar Tree snow globes. I was at my Dollar Tree the other day and did see that they had them out and in stock. So I hope if you want to make this project, you'll be able to find those. And then we're just going to add our water and paint mixture to the snow globe. And then you can add in a little more water to fill your snow globe up about 3/4 of the way. Now I'm going to add in about 1/4 of a bottle of clear school glue. You can use as much or as little of this as you want, and this essentially just kind of thickens up our mixture so that the glitter that we add and the confetti doesn't fall quite so fast to the bottom of our snow globe. So just add in some glitter confetti. This confetti I got from Michael's. And then you're just going to kind of mix it up together, and that's just going to help keep it from getting stuck to the bottom of the stopper. And then I added some baby oil. I don't know that this was a necessary step, but I think it probably helps make it look a little cooler. Fill up your snow globe. You don't want to fill it all the way to the top because you do have to add your stopper and you don't want it to flow out. But you're going to add some super glue to the edge of the stopper so that it is glued in there. You'll definitely want to do that or it will leak. And then add your bottom. Now we're going to use some of this quick grip glue. This is just like E6000, and I'm going to place some of this on the bottom of my snow globe, and then I am going to add it to this metal, it's like a desk organizer that you can get in the school supply section at the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to add that together, and then I'll let that dry overnight. Now I'm going to add in some of this black tulle. I am just wrapping this around. I had this on hand, but you could use anything you want. If you want to use tulle, or you could use some lace or paint it, however you want to add to the bottom of your crystal ball, just to make it look a little more like a stand for your ball. Now to add in our buffalo check, this is going to make this feel a little more farmhouse and a little more cute in my opinion. So I'm just going to add some of this ribbon along the base, and then I'll add in some of this cute spooky spider web, I couldn't think of it, spider web ribbon to our buffalo check ribbon, and that finishes off this project. I made 2 different colors, and I love how these turned out. Look how sparkly and pretty these are. These are kind of like calm down jars, but with a spooky crystal ball feel. So I want to invite you to come over to my Facebook group called Crafty DIYs on a Budget. I host this group with my friend Lisa from Our Gray House, and we'd love to see you over there. Anyone is welcome. Just come on over and ask to join. For this DIY, we are going to repurpose this ice skate from the Dollar Tree at Christmas last season. If you want to see how I made this ice skate originally, I will link it up above. But for now, we are going to reuse this, and I am going to cut off the blade using my box knife. And now we have a regular shoe, and we're going to use the tip of one of these hats from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to line my skate up and the end of the witch's hat until everything kind of fits widthwise there. And then I'm going to use my pencil to mark it off. And then I will go in with my box knife and just cut out that shape. And you could probably use scissors for this, but essentially we're just going to create a tip for our ice skate to make it look like a witch shoe. Now I'm going to use some of this super glue, wood glue, to glue the tip of my hat to the tip of my ice skate. And I'll use a little bit of ribbon here just to secure it even more, but I'm going to let that glue dry very thoroughly. I want this to be as solid as possible, and I'll just use these little clips to kind of hold everything in place until it's dry. Now I'm going to go in and fill in the seam in between the witch hat tip and the ice skate with some spackle. And as you can see, I took off the heart from the original ice skate and took the laces out of those holes. I had cut those with my crocodile. And then once the spackle dries, I'm going to sand it down flat and paint the whole shoe black. Now I'm going to go in with 1/8 inch orange ribbon. I probably picked this up from Michael's. It's just something I've had in my stash. And I'm going to go up, I'm going to lace up my boots essentially. So I'm going to start at that first hole, and then I'm going to whip stitch, which is go around the very edge there, skipping holes. So I'm going to skip a hole and then go into the next one, and you're just going to work your way all the way up. And then once you get to the top, then you're going to start crisscrossing them back down, going into the open holes. And that'll just make it look like this shoe has been tied, or this boot has been tied. And I think that this just adds a super cute element to this witch boot. So you're just going to keep going all the way down, crisscrossing those and making little X's. Once you get to the bottom there, you're just going to use a little bit of glue to secure those ends in place. Then I'm going to add a little bow to the top to make it look like this has been tied up like a regular shoe. Using some 1/8 inch washi tape, I am going to create some stripes on the heel of the boot. I'm going to paint those in with the lavender from Waverly, and then I added some vertical stripes on the cuff of the boot, and I will paint those in with the scallion color. I love the pumpkin, lavender, and scallion together for Halloween colors. I think they're just great together, and so I really loved the color combination on this boot. And after I pulled off the tape, I do go in and fill in that white area that is just spackle where I filled in the hole for the boot or the ice skate. Now I'm going to go in and paint this wicked word from the Dollar Tree. This is a wood word. I'm going to paint the hat black, and then I'm going to go in and use a pencil to separate out the letters. And essentially I am going to, as you can see there, I hope you can see that, that I used the pencil to mark off the words, and that's just so that I can paint each of the letters differently. So I will go in and paint the W, the C, and the E in the lavender color, and then the I, K, and D will be in the scallion color. So this does take a little bit extra time, but I really love how the different letters look when they're colored differently. Now I'm going to use a black Posca paint pen, and I'm going to go around the letters, and this is a completely optional thing. You could do dashes and dots here if you wanted to, but I really wanted these letters to stand out, so I am just going to add a solid line around each letter, and then I'm going to go in with a white paint pen and add polka dots to each of the letters and the hat. I'm going to go in with a dry chip brush and some white paint and just do a little distressing to our boot. But once I get to kind of the tip of the boot and do the distressing, you kind of see that seam a little bit. So I go in with some black paint, repaint it, and then very carefully avoid distressing that seam, just because I thought it looked, I could see where it was, and I thought, that doesn't look so good. So just be careful of that. Next, I'm going to use one of these signs from the Dollar Tree. I thought these were so cute. I picked up a few of them, and I am just going to use my white paint pen to do some dashes and dots around the black part, and then do a little distressing with white paint to the chalkboard area. Now we're going to add our boot to our sign. I'm just going to add it kind of to the edge there. I think that looks really cute. And then we're going to add our wicked word to the corner at an angle. And I just think this is so cute. I do end up adding some rub-on transfers that I did not record, but you could add any kind of decoration to your boot or leave it plain. And I think that this is a wickedly adorable sign for Halloween. All right, for our next DIY, I saw these heads from the Dollar Tree. These are like style the hair kind of head in the toy section, and when I saw those, I'm like, I know I can use these for Halloween and make these look really cute. So I do cut off all of her hair because I don't need her hair. I'm not styling her hair. And then I'm going to paint her completely black, everything black, the base, her face. I don't worry about her hair too much. And then I've got this gauze from the Dollar Tree. I cut it in half. And now I'm going to start wrapping this little doll head up with the gauze. And in case you don't know yet, we are making a mummy. So I end up going in after I get all of the bandages on and doing the eyes. I would kind of suggest to do the eyes first and then wrap, but I'm being careful to make sure that I'm leaving the eyes kind of unwrapped because I want those eyes to be seen. But basically, I'm going to go in to the eye socket of the doll, and I'm going to paint in 2 white circles. And I really wanted this to feel fun, kid-friendly, and not scary, just spooky cute. So I'm going to go in with the white dots, circles, and then add a little black to the center. Very simple, and I think this just turns out so cute. And then I'm going to add a little bit of that black paint kind of to the bandages, make it look old and grungy and just really fun. Now I picked up this snow globe from my Goodwill. These were from Target a few years ago. So I thought this would be a perfect place to add my mummy. So I'm going to add some of these fairy lights from the Dollar Tree. These are just the copper wire fairy lights. And I'm going to kind of go into the base area of the snow globe. Now, my snow globe, when I bought it, didn't have any kind of a base. That is a base that I made out of stuff that I had on hand. But I just kind of wrap it around the mummy just a little tiny bit. So there's a couple of lights that come up. I'll add my lights, add the globe to the top of our snow globe. And look how cute this little mummy head in a globe looks. I adore how this one came out. All right, we're getting there. Just 2 more projects left, but I picked up this spooky word from 24 Hour Crafts, but I did see that the Dollar Tree did have their own spooky word with the ghosts, but I like this 24 Hour Craft spooky with the 2 ghosts. And then that picture was from the Dollar Tree as well. So I'm not going to do anything to that picture frame except take out that XOXO. And now I'm going to paint in my spooky. Basically, I painted the ghosts white. And then I'm going to go in with a little bit of the Waverly chalk paint in steel. Add a little bit of grunginess to our ghosts. Highlight those little hands on the second ghost. And then I'll paint the letters, the SPKY, in the steel gray. Now I have this other ghost from the Dollar Tree. I painted it white, did the edges with the steel gray color, and then added some pink cheeks because I wanted my ghost to be a little girly ghost. Now I'm going to go in and add some fun details to our spooky word. So the S, I'm going to do polka dots around the perimeter of that word, and then the P, I'll go in and do dashes and dots. And then I'll do polka dots on the K and dash dots on the Y. And then I'll add some dash and dots around our little ghost. Now that everything's dry, we're going to add it to our picture frame. This is such an easy DIY. Add a little bow to our ghostie. And then I'm going to put her in at an angle. And that, my friends, is all there is to this DIY. It is super cute. And this could be on a shelf or hung up, your preference. I love her. For our final DIY, I cut out this word welcome from the Cricut design space on my Cricut, and I am using the HTVRONT vinyl. This is their permanent vinyl, and you guys, I love this vinyl so far. It weeds super easy, it cuts super easy, and it's just really easy to work with. And from what I can tell, a very good value. So if you're looking for some different kind of vinyl, I am not a huge fan of the Cricut vinyl, so I usually use Oracle 651 if I'm going to use vinyl. But I really actually like this HTVRONT vinyl even better than Oracle. So I'm not sure about the longevity of it, how long it'll stay, but we'll see. I'll let you guys know as time moves on. So now for the main part of our sign, I am going to take 2 of these black pumpkin signs from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to put them together. So I'm just gluing 2 of the really super big jumbo craft sticks from Walmart onto the seam, and this is just going to secure it so that I have a solid front. And then I'm going to use one of these skeletons from the Dollar Tree. I cut off his little hanger, and then I'm going to add him to some paper. So this is buffalo check paper, and I'm just showing you that I just glued all those down. I will cut them out and meticulously go around them with some sandpaper. That took a lot of time, but it was well worth it in my opinion. Now I painted my sign all black. I went ahead and painted it with a Waverly chalk paint in black so that it was nice and matte, and then did some distressing with white and mineral. Now for the pumpkins, I decided I wanted to add in some of that orange and white polka dot paper that I used with our ghosts. So I am going to add a little glue there, and then I will put the paper so that it is showing to the front. Now we're going to add our welcome word in our vinyl, and I just wanted this to kind of go up this side of our sign. So I'm just going to kind of, figure out where I want it to go. And the lovely thing about these kind of words that aren't straight is, like, if you don't get them straight on your board, nobody will know, because you can't tell if it's straight or not. And I love that, because this girl eyeballs everything, and I hate when things aren't straight, but I don't really usually take the time to worry about it too much. So now we're going to assemble our little skeleton back onto our board. Now the skeleton originally comes with these little wire rings in between. I'm going to hot glue our skeleton straight down to our board. I took those metal rings off, and as you can see, I painted his rib cage and body area in just the elephant color from Waverly. And I just thought that gave it kind of a nice variation between the patterned paper and our sign. So I'll just arrange him on there and then hot glue all of his little pieces down so that they're stuck permanently. Now I'm going to make a messy bow or a scrap bow. So I'm going to just cut some different ribbons that I had in my stash in different widths, and I am going to kind of stack them in a willy-nilly kind of way. I'm just going to alternate colors, and it doesn't have to go in any specific order. Just kind of stack them up, and then you're just going to pinch the middle and tie it with some twine. Just like so, and you can see how you just kind of get a messy little bow that looks really super good with very little effort. And then I'll go in with some scissors and I will dovetail all of the ends just to make them look a little more finished and pretty. And then I will tie the twine to the two center holes from our sign. It worked out really super well. And then I just tied the twine at the top for a hanger, and easy as that, I've got this adorable welcome sign for my front door, and I think he is just too cute. So you guys will have to let me know which project from today was your favorite. If you have a favorite, let me know what you think. I appreciate you guys coming by and watching this video so much. I love you. I hope you have a happy, healthy, and blessed day, and I will see you next time at the next video. Bye!